Okay, so this is my position statement, and it's really about what I do, why I do it, who influences me, how I ended up here, you know. And I got coffee again. Can't get through a video without coffee. So I've written everything down, otherwise my brain just goes and just start thinking of any random thing to talk about, and I don't shut up. So this is really just to keep me on track. So questions that I need to answer for this. One is, what falls into the territory of what I'm interested in? So what am I interested in? Well, I'm on a film and photography course for one, so film and photography, if you can believe that, hilariously. Yeah, both of them at the same time. What happened was I just got really into photography during school because it was a GCSE that I took, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of unexpected. It's not what I initially went in wanting to do, but I ended up enjoying it the most. And I was really into animation as well at the time, and I actually was going to do animation to begin with. Went into college. I did a media diploma in college, and that covered all sorts. It was called creative media, so that's covered pretty much everything over media. I expected to go into animation afterwards, but I really like stop motion, so I still really like doing the camera stuff. I've even done some stop motion things in my uni work, and a whole big stop motion animation piece for my college work, which I can show a clip of if you like. But also I did filming. I had to make some films in college as well, and that's when I actually discovered my love for filmmaking. And then after that I started looking at loads of different films and loads of different directors, and really starting to get into their techniques and really researching who they are. And some of those big names include Quentin Tarantino. I've mentioned all these before in a lot of my work. Tarantino influences me a lot. So does Christopher Nolan. I think my first Tarantino film might have been Pulp Fiction, and then Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is still one of my favourite films of all time. One though that's not so popular, I think, among a lot of his fans, but one of my all-time favourites is his latest film, The Hateful Eight. It's so good, it's so well staged, and he actually talks about actually writing that as if he was writing a stage show, because he was on about actually making the end different and actually turning that into a stage show. He was also talking about only making 10 films and then actually writing stage shows as a career after that, or writing books. And that's how he writes, and that's how I tend to write. You don't tell a whole story in the right order. With a film, that's generally what happens, or a TV show, that's what happens. But more and more now, and I feel like a lot of people are influenced by Tarantino by this, because he's one of the first people to do it, is actually tell a story not in the right order. Say with Pulp Fiction, you've got the end scene actually happens in the timeline of events nearer the beginning of the story, but the way that it's told works so well, and I don't think you'd appreciate that end scene as much if it was told at the beginning, because it works so well at the end. That's what I love about Tarantino, just the way he forgets the rules and just makes what he wants to make. That's what inspires me. Through watching YouTube, there's been a few people who have actually helped me in developing my own skills, and has influenced me in my way of making videos. Two names spring to mind instantly, and that's Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon. Casey for his story and his morals and the way that he makes things. Again, they have total disregard for the rules of filmmaking, but everything they do works so well because they're consistent, and that's what their style is, and they have that drive to tell a story through a camera, and communicating that story to the audience in a way that hasn't really been done before. So it's, you know, it's new, it's fresh. They innovate. I've always struggled with learning the right way to do something, which is why I relate to Casey Neistat, because there's this whole thing about how he's always struggled with being taught the right way to do something, and I've always thought that my brain was way more creative than it was logical. So I feel like I have more of a knack for, I mean, I love working things out, but the best things to work out, in my opinion, are how I can get an image in my head, a creative image, something that I've thought of, you know, just through sheer imagination, and then how to get that onto the screen and how to communicate that and how to make an audience see what I see. Okay, so there's another little thing that I should talk about, which is what else do I find interesting, but falls outside of the criteria of what I work in. Also, as a little side note, I'm sorry, I'm using natural light right now, so the light is going to be getting up and down, yeah. Anyway, so music I've been into since I can't remember what age I was, but there are so many bands. I've always been looking into the rock bands because I always feel that they're more creative as well than pop artists. There are exceptions to that. My favourite band, Rush, and it's their integrity, you know. They had their third album a long time ago, and because they experimented and went completely different, they made a 20-minute song on that album, and the album almost failed, and they were told if they want to survive, because they had a 4-album contract, for their 4th album they were told, go a bit more mainstream again, go a bit more radio friendly, and your band might survive. And their response was to make another concept album, another 20-minute song, and that album is called 2112, and it's to this day one of the more famous rock albums, and that album actually sort of made them as a band. So they took a risk and they did what they wanted to do, because they figured that if they wanted to go down, they at least wanted to go down in the way that they wanted to make or create their art. It's more than music, it's art. And just, it worked, and they're one of the more successful bands now. So it's a really influential story. Hold on a sec, I need to change the battery in this camera.
You don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie.
And I try to take my director's hat off when I'm writing and write things that I then come to as a director, and I say, I have no idea how to do this. I have no idea what this will look like, how to visualize it. Because that's when you know you're challenging yourself, and it's through that challenge you then put together a great team of people, and through that challenge you find something that you haven't done before. You find something fresh and different, and that's really the fun part of filmmaking, that challenge.
We're all passionate about something. We're all creative about something, and we all just want to coexist doing what we love.
And I struggle with being taught the right way to do something when the outcome is supposed to be creative, because then you're systematically approaching something that shouldn't have a formula to it.
Okay, we're good. We're back for part 2. I've changed the battery so my camera's not going to die. How could I construct a value system for what I make, and what does good look like? Okay, good looks like if the next video you do is better than the last one, it's good. Or if I enjoyed myself while I made it, because I think how popular your video is doesn't actually matter. If it sounds cheesy, but if you've enjoyed the process of making it, because that's what I enjoy more. I don't necessarily, I don't binge watch my own work over and over and over again. I don't go, oh, look at that, look what I did. The best parts of making a film is making the film. So if you've enjoyed making one film over another film, in my opinion that film is better. Or if it's not just like, say, a filmmaker makes a film, it goes to cinema, and one film makes more in the box office than another film, okay? Say Star Wars makes more money over, name another film that isn't as popular. Does it mean Star Wars is a better film than that film that didn't make as much money? No, it's just a more popular franchise. It doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't mean it's better at all. So, good is very, very... It's not factual. And that's what I love about art and filmmaking, is because there are no facts. There's no facts to remember. It's all completely opinion based, and you can make your own mind up about that. I feel like it's an answer I can't really, well, it's a question I can't really answer. What does good look like to me? I don't know. Something that I can look at and I can have fond memories of. When I made that, I can think, oh yeah, when I made that video this happened and this happened and this happened. Maybe there are some things that happened off screen and you don't get to see, but it sparks a memory for me. I don't know. Maybe if I look at something and it makes me smile, you know, and it hits me, it strikes an emotional chord, whether it's happiness or sadness or anger or whatever. I don't know, if it makes me feel something, then it's good. Or if it makes me think, that it's good as well. Anything that actually has an effect on me, good. Why do I work the way I work? That's a question. Why do I work the way I work? Because I think I've just developed this system over the years I've been making. I know it's only been a few years, but it's over the years of me making videos and producing photographs. It's just the way it's happened. I found the most productive and entertaining and fun way of doing something, and I stick to that. Well, I don't necessarily stick to that. I change all the time. I change my methods all the time. But whatever works at the time. You just got to think, okay, how do I get this from my head onto a screen for people to see? And sometimes it's a different way of doing that every time. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes there's a formula, sometimes there isn't, but I don't know, to keep things fresh, I don't really have that much of an answer. What are my principles and what wouldn't I do? So that's like, meaning if I get offered a job, oh, we'll pay you this much money if you, I don't know, but it's a company who, say, own a factory, who use enslaved children to labour in the factories or whatever, just something like that. I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't do that. If I knew that, you know, there's more to life than money. There's actually, again, there's a Rush quote. Produce art because you want to produce art, and if it's a company who actually wants to express a vision or something like that, then good. If it is an advertisement, if it advertises something that I agree with, then I would work on it or whatever. Or if it's a harmless thing, then yeah, I don't know. It depends. It's all very subjective. It depends what it is. It depends what's being asked of me. I make things for entertainment. I make things to make people, yeah, to strike that emotional chord or to make people think. Not really to sell something. I don't want to make something to sell something. Buy this. You know, hypnotize them into thinking, oh, you need this product. You're not good enough. You need this. You know, it's like on the cover of all these magazines. Thinking, you know, these men's fitness magazines and everything, being all like, oh, if you don't have this, you're not doing it right, and oh, if you look like this, then that's not acceptable, you have to look like this guy on the cover of our magazine, buy our magazine to find out how to do this, and it just puts people down, you know, it just makes people feel sad about themselves, and that's not the point. It shouldn't be like that. So I wouldn't ever do anything like that, basically. So yeah, that's about it. That's about it for the video. I hope I covered everything, and I know I was trying to make this 10 minutes, but I know that I can ramble. So hopefully I can cut it down to about 10 minutes, but it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over. Let's face it, and there's going to be other clips as well, but I'm still going to do my 500 words. So if you're watching this on my blog, look below this video and there'll be an extra little 500 words talking about this video there. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me ramble about myself. It's not something I usually like to do, but it's something I had to do, and you know, it's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.